welcome. Thanks for being here. We are talking about the subject of liberty. And so we're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. In the 21st verse, he says, "You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of devils. Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he is? All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient." In other words, not all things are good for me. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Not everything builds me up. Don't let anyone seek his own will and way, but every man should be seeking for each other's wealth. Whatsoever is sold in the store, just eat it. Don't question it for your conscience sake. In other words, and he's talking about people who go and they buy meat in the market. They call it the shambles. You go and you buy your meat, and that meat might have been sacrificed to an idol. And he's saying, just buy it and eat it and don't worry about it. Because the earth belongs to God and everything in it belongs to God. And if someone who asks you to come and eat and you want to go and eat with them, then eat whatever they give you. Don't worry about whether that meat was sacrificed to an idol. Don't worry about whether or not it's halal or it's kosher. Just eat it. But if somebody says, this meat was sacrificed to an idol, then don't eat it on account of that guy. You're being kind to him because it bothers him. This is something that we don't understand in our society. Me not eat something because it might bother somebody else. And of course, now you understand that's different than people who use that to manipulate you and intimidate you about what you eat. Well, I don't like what you eat. Well, okay, there's a time and a place for that. But if you have someone who is a young Christian who is, for them, smoking is a sin and it's going to send you to hell, then don't smoke around them, because all you're doing is causing confusion in their heart. There's a time and a place to just, if you and God are okay about eating meat sacrificed to an idol, or smoking a cigarette, or drinking a beer, or whatever it is that you do that other people think is wrong, just keep that to yourself. You don't need to be throwing that out there in front of people. If I by grace be a partaker, why should I be spoken evil of for that which I gave thanks? Whether therefore you eat or you drink or whatever you do, do it for the glory of God. And don't give people excuse to be offended. I try to please all men in all things, and not seek my own profit, but the profit of many, so that they can be saved. I don't want to offend somebody. Just because I can do something doesn't mean I'm going to throw it in everybody's face and say, look, it's okay for me to fill in the blank. Whatever it is that your group, that, whatever they think is something you should never do. Paul says, me and God are good. I know what's right and I know what's wrong. And these other things are secondary issues that really are not that important. But some people think they are. And if I'm going to cause someone to fall away from God or be offended or create strife, see, this is really important for God. God talks about this a lot, about don't be causing strife. There's no reason to cause people, and I mean, we live in this victimized culture, this woke culture that they want to strife about everything. But the Bible says, no, let's try to get along with each other as much as we can. And we're going to finish with this verse from James. This is that one that I was talking about. James says in chapter 4, James says, therefore to him that knows to do good, but doesn't do it, to him it is a sin. If you know what you should be doing, if you and God are in agreement about what's right and what's wrong and what's good and what's bad, for you to go against that, that's a sin. That's destructive. That's going to not come out well. And that lets you know that you don't really have to argue. Most people get really stressed out about these things because they've decided, well, it's wrong for me to vacuum the carpet on Sunday. Well, is it? If you feel like it is, then you shouldn't be vacuuming the carpet on Sunday. But just because somebody else feels like they can do that, there's no reason for you to get all upset and feel like you need to condemn them to go to hell just because you don't feel good about it. This illustrates this thing about God that is so important. It's all about relationship with God. Everything is about this relationship between each other and between us and God. And Paul is saying, if I'm in a right relationship with God, I could do whatever I want to do, basically, as long as it's not, lying, stealing, killing, you get it. But because I want to be able to get along with people, there are times when I need to just not do some of those things. And I need to show tolerance for some people in some areas. And this has become sort of a hard subject right now because there are people who use that tolerance against us, and they say, oh, so if you're going to let me do this, then will you let me do this, and then will you let me do this, and what about this, and what about this, and what about this, and pretty soon it's all gone. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about walking in love, and sometimes love says, no, that's enough. You're done. That's enough. We're not doing this anymore. I was okay with giving you a little bit of room, but now you've gone too far. That's enough. You're not taking over my whatever. You're not taking over my city. You're not taking over my country. You're not taking over my church. Some things are not negotiable. But in my relationship with God, I'm following Him. And I am following His guidance. And I'm not quibbling and arguing over little details about, is this good or is this not good? Sometimes those are irrelevant. Alright, well that's the end of the podcast for this week. If you have any questions or comments, you know how to get a hold of me. Write me at the email address on the screen, and I'll talk to you next week. Alright, bye-bye.